hearing us.
It said you guys are awful.
I'm shutting you down. I do not want to talk to you anymore.
No more talking to you guys. Did you get an answer to my question last week? Probably not.
Answer to your question.
Is it okay to not feed horses twice a day? My horses.
I did not.
It's all right.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I've slept since then.
And now for something special. The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright and so on. It's a rigorous training dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, the award-winning #1 podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stine is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF 1 accreditation. On this week's show, talking terminology, we're going to talk about quarter cracks as it relates to the Kentucky Derby running. Also, expansion discussion of hoof cracks and what are the characteristics, and more development on last year's HISA in relationship to horse farriers and horseshoes. All this and much more will be discussed here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing better now that we're off and running. Off and running, Mike.
We're running.
Yes, because it's
we're off.
And it's the theme of the show because we're going to talk about the Kentucky Derby here in a little bit.
The off and running to Kentucky Derby, not that we're running it off.
No, exactly. But before I talk about it, or before I let you get started, I wanted to say something. Speaking of off and running, this time of year, we have Cayenne, we have Dominique here on the property.
Right.
Cayenne, this time of year, now this is May 5th, Happy Cinco de Mayo, May. Happy Cinco de Mayo, Mike, not May, but May 5th. All right, you got it.
It may be Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
And it's getting a little warmer out there, even though it's cooler today. It's getting warmer out there, and the flies are starting to come around.
Right.
And Cayenne gets a lot of flies around her hoof areas. Like, what's above the hoof, the hock? What
like
is
the pastern?
Yeah,
like cannonball.
Yeah, that first knuckle right there on the
between the first knuckle.
Yeah. And so my wife bought her
to the fetlock.
Right. My wife bought her Cayenne bought her these little boots.
Little boots.
Yeah, but they're like screens and they're Velcro and they go just above the hoof and it goes up to that first joint there.
Right.
And she bought them last year and they were pink and everything and they kept falling off.
They're not pink.
No, they're not pink. They're falling off. They're in the pasture. I think I hit it with the bush hog a couple times. This year, she bought them to where they actually had Velcro straps on them as to just Velcroing the two ends together.
Right.
And she's like, if they stay on, because she has a habit of, rubbing them off and getting them off her feet and stuff.
When the flies get in there, the mesh keeps the flies in so they don't go anywhere.
Right.
Right.
So she bought these things. There was like 4 of them for like $16. And my wife went down to Florida for graduation, one of her nieces and stuff. And I said, hey, they're staying on. Those little booty things are staying on. She's like, oh, great. So I'm going to buy the actual correct size. I think she bought them just a little bit too big. Now, so Cayenne's out there, and she's got, looks like ankle weights from like the 80s.
Right.
Like they're doing jazzercise and stuff.
Like when you're the flash dance socks.
Yes,
kind of thing,
exactly, like those. So she's out there running around with these little fly boots on her ankle. So I just thought it was kind of cute to share that with you.
Right.
That's it. That's all I got. What do you got going on, Mike?
Oh, I had something going on.
Yes.
No, did you watch the Derby?
I did not, but I am friends with, who's the writer and editor-chief of the female? Catherine,
yes.
Yeah, I'm friends with her on Facebook, and she's
all about it.
She is all about it, and we've had her on the show before.
Right.
And so I've been watching, her response and posting on Facebook. So I've been following it through her eyes because she's the one who sees all the background stuff.
Oh, she knows what's going on.
Oh, God, yeah. So I've been watching her and following her on Facebook and stuff. So that's the only way I've been watching the Kentucky Derby. So tell us about it. What happened? What did we see? What did we watch? What happened?
Well, we saw a lot of mud this year.
Okay.
And so, the grounds crew had a tough time with prepping the track. That puts an extra stress on farriers, and we're going to talk about some of what goes on there with the show as far as that goes. And it was interesting because Bill Mott won this year. A horse that was training under him won.
Okay.
And he had a horse that I think got DQ'd for whatever reason earlier, a few years back. But I think this is his first actual win where they're not recalling anything. Back when I met Ray Morris at Equitana and was doing the talks there for the Guild, I got asked to go to the track, and there's a fella, I can't remember his last name, Cecil. He did a lot of work with speed indexing and all that kind of stuff, and worked for Bill Mott. Had me look at some horses because we were talking about angulations of the shoulders on the high-low horses and the angle of the humerus between the shoulder and the elbow. And it was different from left to right, and it had made a difference in how that limb, each limb extend as far as the extension of the limb. And so I was picked up and taken and given a ride into the back of
behind the
scenes, and we got to go look at some horses. And
what year was this?
Back about 2000, give or take.
Okay.
When they were running the original Equitana deal, and but got to look at the horses and show them what I was talking about, and we had some discussion after the clinic, and he said, well, I've got some horses here. We'll just go look at them. And anyway, I got a paycheck from Bill Mott on that. Not directly, but did get a little bit of pay from that. And it was a lot of fun. And this was before the tornado stormed the backside, so it was the old school backside. And so that was interesting and good for Bill Mott and good for his crew and good for having some good horses.
So how many horses run in the Kentucky Derby? Is it a set number? Like, is it always 20 horses, or is it always, or whoever just qualifies gets in it?
If I'm remembering right, I think they had 19 come out of the gate.
Okay.
I think normally it's 20.
Okay.
And you may have a horse pull for whatever reason.
I saw something on Facebook, and of course, everything you see on Facebook, it's got to be
true.
It's got to be true.
It's true, 100%.
It is true.
Yes.
It's 100% true. And I saw something, and I think, hold on. I don't know if, what was her name? Catherine. I don't know if she posted it, but someone posted something that said 15 of the horses that were running in this year's Derby were somewhat of a descendant from Secretariat.
Right.
Is that true?
Catherine would be the one that would know.
Well, let's get her on the phone.
For certain.
But I thought that was pretty interesting. And of course, every horse out there has got a different color and all that. But it said 15 of the horses that ran in this Derby were some extension from Secretariat.
Yes.
Which is I didn't see the race. Was it a close race? You would think.
It was a muddy race. All the horses were the same color then.
You could only tell by the numbers, right?
Right.
So
I couldn't see the numbers. It was a mud fest.
So I just thought that was interesting, and if it is true, I'll reach out to Catherine and see what she has to say and get her response on that. All right, guys, we got a big show to get into, lots to talk about. We are going to talk about the Kentucky Derby and what Mike saw and all the different things. We're going to talk about quarter cracks and how that affected the Derby as well. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, you can join the podcast, and the way you join the podcast is go to equinedynamics.com. At the very top of the page says, what do you got there? That has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
Right now, no.
No, it doesn't. He gets so excited, like a kid with a new toy.
Right.
You go to equinedynamics.com. At the very top of the page says join the podcast. You click on that, opens up another screen. You can see all the podcasts that we've been doing over the last almost coming up on 4 years, 12 seasons of episodes. And you can go back and listen to all those in your spare time and stuff. And you can comment on them. And the way you join the podcast and comment on them is at the top of that page is a little orange bar that says, leave a message for Mike Stine. You click on that. 3 simple ways you do it. You hit record, listen back, and then send. You can put your name in there. You can be anonymous if you want. And you put an email address, and we'll play your voice right here on the show with us. And we'll answer your question right here on the air. You can be part of the show. Just go to equinedynamics.com, join the podcast. And over on my far hand side, so anxious, so excited.
Ready to go.
Is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Travis, how are you doing?
Doing all right. Now, talking terminology. This is the segment of the show where we talk terminology. We talk terminology, and we break down words that you might hear in the barn, you might hear someone say, and we actually give you the true definition of what they are and what they mean and what you're looking for when you hear these words. And this week, we're talking about the quarter crack. Now, why we've talked about quarter cracks before in the early seasons of this show. Why are we bringing it up now as far as talking about quarter cracks, as far as talking terminology?
Well, apparently in training before the Derby, there was a horse that had a problem with a quarter crack. And, they had some discussion about that, and it's a big high visibility deal. And apparently at some point the quarter crack had bled when it was under stress, which can happen. And
no, go ahead, keep going.
So then they'd done some repair, as far as I understand. And
did it inhibit the horse from being part of the Derby or no?
We need to ask Catherine, but I think the horse ran.
Okay. Wow, ran with a quarter crack.
Well, remember Ian that was here?
Yes.
And I got a few other people, and that's one of his deals is he has done a lot of quarter crack repaired stabilization, and we're going to talk about that later when we talk about the quarter cracks.
Okay.
And I've got some other friends that have done well with that, and I've done a few myself.
So, according to the IAPF Foundation Critical Study Guide, the definition of a quarter crack, and that's the book you were getting ready to hand up there or hold up there. You can leave it right there. I'm going to switch cameras here in just one sec. A quarter crack is defined by a crack in the hoof wall parallel to the horn growth. In the region of the quarters, it's often a general usage, also refers to cracks in the heel region. So let me see, what camera are we on there?
We're on a camera.
There we go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Wow. I don't have to turn the book upside down, do I?
I will. I'll turn it upside down. So hold on.
Okay.
There we go. What are we looking at, Mike?
Okay, this is a hoof. This is a picture.
Bring the microphone, Georgia.
This is a picture in the hoof of the hoof, and you've got cracks from the coronary band down. You got cracks going up. The quarter of the foot would be between your heel and your toe bend. So anything in there would be pretty much considered a quarter crack. It used to be always said, and I've heard some people say a true quarter crack forms from the top down. If you got an injury in the coronary band, sometimes that can be a weak spot. Sometimes it can be a stress point. And, you get these little small superficial cracks that we always refer to as a sand crack. And it's one of those deals you can get 50 different answers, anything. I've had people call me, my horse has a quarter crack and it's got a crack in the middle of the toe.
I'm from Florida, and sand crack means something different.
Well, let's not go there. I thought that's something you understand well, apparently. But, yeah, quarter crack would be between your toe bend and your heel. Some people call something back in the heel a quarter crack. And, to me, the ones that are from the top down are a little more aggravating to deal with. So that would be quarter cracks.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. And you were saying that the one horse could probably run or did run on in the Derby with a quarter crack. Now, with the quarter crack, your friend Ian, who laces up quarter cracks and
stuff. He laces them. Yeah.
Would you put a certain, from my remembering, something sticks in my head about like a heart bar or some kind of bar that you would have
in certain situations, yes, you would put something to transfer weight off of the quarter onto other parts of the foot. The frog itself can support a certain amount of weight. It just depends on how bad they are and what the demands of the horse are. And
well, I mean, the Derby it doesn't get more demanding than that.
Right. Yeah, but my guess would be if the horse is already shod to go and you're going to do it and then run immediately, you probably fair chance they went with what was race ready and did the repair. They may have done a Z-bar or something like that on there. I don't know.
That's the other one I was looking for, Z-bar.
A Z-bar, which is common on the racetrack surfaces, to run a Z-bar over a heart bar.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about an expanded discussion of hoof cracks and what are the characteristics by. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Characterized by, not characteristics by. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, you can follow him over on Facebook. The way you do that is search Equine Dynamics Mike Stine over on Facebook. And like I was saying before, he posts a bunch of different articles out there that are very educational. They show you all the different things. And if you follow him over there right now, I'll get the answer to the Secretariat thing and post it over on Mike's face. Well, I'll give it to Mike, and Mike can post it on his Facebook feed. And you can see that in real time. And it's a great follow anyways if you're wanting to continue the education of your horses. And my very own favorite following over there on my far end side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I am doing good, Travis. How are you doing?
Doing all right. So today we're talking about, we're a little bit touching on the Kentucky Derby. Now, who won the Kentucky Derby? You don't know? You don't have to mouth it to me.
I don't know. I saw a video, watched a video of the run, and was in the middle of working as all that went on.
Okay.
So it's like, here's the run, yay! You know what I mean? No, it was a good race. I don't think any horse had any terrible problems that I know of.
So we're going to talk about the expansion. We're going to expand the discussion of hoof cracks and what it's characterized by, as far as quarter cracks and everything to look out for and what the differences are and so on and so forth. So Mike, take us and lead us off from there, from the location, the site of origin, the depth, and complications that we can have.
Right. You know, with quarter cracks, you know, people will call us in videos. Some of those things are very surface oriented, what we would call sand crack. And at that point, it's pretty much just a cosmetic thing. When you start getting structural problems, then we need to do something. A lot of the ones that are cosmetic, if we just leave a little pressure in the area, some of those will start to close up on their own. I've had horses, especially like we're doing the FEI events and all that sort of stuff, that had some of them had problems, and we stabilized and built before they were, you know, to get everything under control, so the horse would have good clean trot outs and all that sort of deal. And some of them will do just fine. If you've got something that is deep enough that you've got it's like you peeled your fingernail back too far. When you build it, you run a strip of something down the quarter crack that you build over, and then you can pull it out, and you leave it open at the top and bottom, where you can physically flush it. And Novasand, something along those lines, whatever your vet chooses to work with, and you can plug it with a little bit of wax if you need to, once it gets to a point, just to keep trash out. And some of those horses can go on and compete and do just fine. You don't want to build directly on top of an injured area, like on top of the lamina itself.
So what are the top causes for a quarter crack?
Hoof imbalances, injuries at the coronary band will give you an area where there's a weak spot, and weather conditions, cracks. In this part of the country where we are, people say, "Oh my God, feet are too dry." But when we get to these spells where we're just sopping wet for long periods, it soaks some of the natural oils out of the foot, then they dry, then they crack.
Now, we had a sponsor a while back, the Hoof Doctor.
Right.
And they had the hoof dressing and stuff. Now, they're not sponsors anymore, but still, some kind of hoof dressing is recommended. Do you recommend that like normal?
We've still got that QR code up, right?
I believe on your website, I believe you do.
Okay, if they go to that QR code, they get a 10% discount on the Hoof Doctor if they go through my QR code. And anyway, to some degrees that does help. A lot of the oils come from internal, depends on your feed program. Horses with a higher fat diet, probably the feet do a little better. If the horse can tolerate that, they can. Some of these working horses eat some pretty high fat diets, and to me, you get a little more oil in the hooves. In a situation where you've got a crack that you build, and that's kind of old school lacing them. Some people do, some people don't. I have a little time with lacing myself, and then there was the hoof staples that somebody has come out with, which I've not seen them for a long time. To me, they did not work out that well. I don't know if that's even available anymore, but with the acrylics, and I personally use fiber and acrylics, and build across them. And if there's a deep one, depends on how deep it is. I usually put something medicated in the bottom of the crack and then build across it, because you can't get to it. And you want to make sure you've killed any kind of fungus in there. If it's very deep, then you build a channel down build something down the crack that can be flushed or removed, and pull it out, and then you have a flush channel. And if the horse can work okay, they can work okay.
What's easier to recover from, the coronary band crack or from the ground up crack?
To me, from the ground up is usually a little easier. I don't know. I've done enough of them. It doesn't matter that much one way or another. You just deal with what you got in front of you that day and move forward.
Half a dozen one
another.
Yeah.
You Dremel it out. You clean it out. Make sure you're down to good clean surface. Build whatever kind of patch you're going to put over it if need be. There are some of them that I have left completely open for a while for treatment, and then gone back and built later, just depending on the situation, the conditions you're in, and how they are. I had one a few years ago that was more of in the heel, but there was so much movement and it was so inflamed that we just opened it up and floated everything out and let it grow down.
Go ahead.
That that kind of turned into, we got a lot of instructions on build this, build that, and all this kind of stuff coming across the line. I'm like, this is not a good idea. They were coming back to myself and the vet involved. I mean, this thing's so inflamed, we do that, we got high risk of abscessing under there.
So if a horse has a quarter crack,
right,
and it's going to enter, let's say, the Kentucky Derby, is there someone out there looking at the horse's feet and saying, hey, that technically this horse should not be running because of that? There is someone out there.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm just going to put a Band-Aid over it. No, he'll be fine. I'll address it at the end of the race. Kind of like a baseball player would go out there with a hurt shoulder or something.
Yeah. Yeah. This is kind of running over to some of the other stuff we were going to talk about, but there are inspectors that will inspect on multiple levels, from the hoof to everything else. And it will, they look at it, the horses that are out there, and what is legal and not legal, and what is sound and not sound, and is this a good enough job?
Okay, well, we're going to take a little break and dive into that as well, because you have an update on what's happening with the HISA, the racetrack safety rules that are being taken effect on July 8th coming up. It's more about the horse farriers and the horse shoes that are happening in this new update or whatever.
Right.
And Mike's got the information on that. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
This isn't any good. It wasn't yesterday's coffee.
It didn't get a chance to marinate?
Yeah, it's not good until it marinates some. It's got to be a day old and cold.
Dong.
I need to bring in one of those pads.
For you, yeah. You're not using them.
No.
See, it's nice and quiet.
Too many harmonics.
Yeah. You ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. If you have a question for Mike Stine, you don't want to be heard on the podcast, that's okay. You can reach out to him by email. Go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says contact us. Fill out that little form, and if you put your physical address in there, we'll mail you out some magnets, some stickers and stuff, just for being part of the show and just for saying thank you for asking us a question. Now, if you want to talk about any of the past 12 seasons of shows, just put whatever season number and episode it is and the question, and we'll answer it on this podcast. And we broadcast every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Beautiful little town we like to call Marshville. And over to my far hand side, my very own beautiful Wonderland himself is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing?
Doing all right. So we started the year off. We started season 12, and we were talking about the HISA, which is basically, they had a group of people in the government that said,
this is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing. We're not horse people, but we feel that this is not right. And then someone got smart and said, whoa. What are you doing? You guys are idiots. And let's push this down the road a little bit and actually look at this new rule or new laws that are coming out for the horse community and all that. And so now we have an update. They were pushing it to April 5th. Of course, we've flown by that right now. We're already on May 5th here. according to this, the new rules, the racetrack safety rules, is going to take effect on Monday, July 8th. It says 2024. Is that right? No, someone's got something wrong here. But so
I think that was 2024 when it came in.
Oh, when it came in.
That was out of an old article.
Okay, so this is out of an old.
It came out of the American Farriers Journal, I do believe.
So what is the new update as far as what they're doing now?
I know when that first came out, it looked like they were asking for a flat plate, like you would run on turf, no matter what.
No, wait. Before we start, you were
from the farrier's end of it.
Oh, from the farrier's end. But the actual rule that they were stating, or the law, or whatever the order that they put out there, said that we were talking about, what was the term? Soaring horses.
Well, no, this is not the soaring deal. This is the racetrack deal.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Different set of rules.
Sorry, different set of rules. So backtrack and continue.
Right. So on the racetrack, when they were first talking about the bringing out these rules, up front they were talking about a completely flat shoe, no traction devices of any sort, which would be like you would run a turf plate, King's plate, or whatever you're running on the turf. And then you've got most of the tracks I think have gone to natural surfaces, and you do have a little bit of synthetics out there, but I don't think that most tracks I think have gone back to natural surfaces, because there were some problems with that working at speed, and the natural surfaces are a little more forgiving. Now, it's okay. Yesterday with the Derby, used to be you could add traction or whatever when you got a wet track, and there was a lot of different ways you could do it, and some of them they've decided were not the best way for the horse long term. So now they are allowing on a turf a 2 mil rim shoe, where the outer rim is about 2 mils higher than the inside on front and rear. On dirt tracks, you can go to a 4 mil rim, and which is not a lot, and on the hind 2 mil on the front, a little bit of a toe grab on the back, it looks like. And they have inspectors who are going to be looking at every horse. So this is not just run through. And they have vets, they have the whole staff takes a look at the horse, and is there a problem with horses running? They can pull them right there in the paddock and say, well, no, this is not going to go. If the horse is not solid enough, if they've, like with the horse, the crack, I'm sure they had a whole crew of people taking a look at that horse, making sure that horse was going to be okay for what needed to be done. Just like when I was doing the FEI stuff, you had a whole staff looking at some of these horses when we were dealing with problems.
So according to the article, farrier, which you're talking about horse farrier, and this isn't the other article that I was talking about as far as soaring. This has nothing to do with soaring.
No, this is racetracks.
I misspoke on that. So what they mean by a farrier is a horseshoer or plater or blacksmith who provides all aspect of hoof care,
right,
and services to covered horses, including trimming applications, and according to the racetrack safety rules. Previously, the HISA defined traction devices as included but not limited to rims, toe grabs, bends, bar caulks, and stickers.
Jar caulks.
Yep. Sorry. What did I say?
Bar caulks.
That's close enough. BJ, I don't know. It's all the same.
Yeah, close enough. Yeah, we got it.
The new definition, traction devices mean any device that extends beyond the ground surface of the horseshoe that is included but not limited to inserts, wear plates, rims, toe grabs, bar, jar caulks, stickers, ice nails, frost nails, and mud nails.
Right.
So what did I just read there?
Yeah, anything that was considered a traction device that they have limited quite a bit, because there were horses that were injured from too much traction. On the other end, like yesterday at the Derby, they needed a little bit of traction. And sometimes you can get injuries from if a horse is slipping and sliding too much. I know when we have rain periods and horses are out cutting up in the field, you get slip and slide injuries.
Oh, yeah, I saw Dominique. We were having construction 2 blocks over, and she could hear those heavy machineries going and the squeaking wheels and stuff, and she was bucking and running all up and down the front pasture.
And you didn't go grease the squeaky wheel?
What? No, I didn't go grease it. But she was sliding. She doesn't have shoes on.
Right.
And I was like going, whoa, whoa, whoa. And there's a couple times where her butt came out from underneath her. She's doing the whole cartoon skipping and stuff.
Right.
And she doesn't have shoes on. And I was like, whoa.
You could have made a cartoon.
I could have made a cartoon.
But she was out there showing her stuff, right?
Well, she was nervous because it was new sounds and new, instruments.
That's not right.
This is not part of my world.
For those who are concerned about what they're doing on the racetrack, it is under a lot of scrutiny, and there are people looking at every horse that goes on there and checking them out head to toe, from the front end to the back end to the ground to everything that goes on, and to keep them safe, keep them happy, and keep we don't want any horses are injured. And I've had people say, look, they make them run. Then have you ever messed with horses that much? Some of them try to stop them from running. You want to fight? You want some excitement? Try to stop them from running.
Well, that's what I was saying. When Dominique was out there, I can go out there and put my hands up and go whoa, whoa, whoa all day long, but she's going to run until she gets whatever that's in her mind out of her mind and calm and feel in a safe position.
Horses just run sometimes.
Sometimes they just do.
They feel like it.
All right, guys, one more little break, and we'll let you get back to taking care of or playing with your pony. So stick around. You'll listen to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. What did we learn and wrap it up?
What did we learn?
I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Ready?
Excuse me.
No,
Yep.
you're good. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. If you want to be part of the podcast, you can join the podcast. The way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com. At the very top of the page says, join the podcast. Click that little tab. You can see all the 11 seasons of podcast shows that we have up there. I don't know if the video link is loading, but you can also find for every podcast we do, we have matching video over on YouTube. You can see that podcast in its full-length form over on the YouTube channel. Just search Equine Dynamics Mike Stine and give them a like and subscribe over there. Coming up on 3,000 subscribers over there on your YouTube channel, so that's pretty darn good.
You know how much I had to pay each one of those?
Not a whole lot. They're pretty cheap to buy.
Yeah.
So go on over there and give Mike Stine a subscribe over there, and you can see all the different guests that we've had over the last 12 seasons of shows and get caught up on all that as well. And you can email us at any time over there on the equinedynamics.com page as well. And over to my far hand side, my very own payee is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. So, Mike, what did we learn today?
What did we learn today?
Talking terminology, we're talking about the quarter cracks, and the reason why we're bringing up the quarter cracks is because of the recently run Kentucky Derby on the 3rd of May, this past Saturday. And there was a horse out there that had a quarter crack, and they were kind of concerned about it. So when we're bringing up quarter crack, what are we talking about, and what's the definition of that?
Well, the quarter crack would be a crack within the quarter of the hoof, which would be between your toe bend and the heel of the hoof itself, where the toe bends into the heel. And used to be, we always said true quarter crack was from the coronary band down, but basically it's a crack in the quarter. Some of them are very superficial, and some of them are to the point we need to do something to stabilize the situation.
If you came out and saw a horse, a brand new horse, this is your first time laying eyes on it, and you look at a horse's feet and there's no cracks or anything like that, can you tell that, hey, if I do not do something right now, there will be a quarter crack here in the near future?
Yes, there are things that, you can, if you're paying attention to what's going on in the coronary band itself. Some of them have injuries, some of them have stress points, and that can tell you some of what's going on. And, if you got a foot that is going to be prone to want to flare, that can be a horse that is going to be more prone to it. And the deal is you just deal with the pressures that can cause the flare up front, and then it's not a problem. And
also, what we learned today as far as what are the characteristics of different quarter cracks? The location, the site origin, the depth, and the complications. So what are the characteristics of a horse crack or quarter crack?
A quarter crack.
Yeah.
Some of them are superficial. Some of them can go very deep into the hoof, and some of them can penetrate all the way through to the sensitive laminae. If you got one that's going deep, deal with it before it's a problem. They can be, a lot of them that I deal with, I rarely, if ever, build anything. Most of them, if you just get the pressure off, they will start trying to close themselves up and take care of themselves.
They will close themselves up.
Well, basically as the foot grows down, it doesn't go further.
Okay.
But, you just got to deal with the stress. Is it from a push, from a pull, from a diagonal pressure in the hoof, or whatever it may be, and then deal with that, and the situation will start settling down. Anything that can cause a flare can cause a crack in time. If you've got one that's deep and needs to have something structural done to it, and you and the vet or whoever is working together on it, and if you got a bleeding crack in particular, you need to go in and take a look at it and clean it out.
So the location, according to my handy-dandy cheat sheet, locations can be in the toe, the quarter, the heel, and the bar. The site of origin could be the ground surface or by the coronary band. And the depth could be superficial, like Mike says, or very deep. And then complications could be hemorrhages or infections.
Right. Any place where a coronary band has a cut or scar in it can be a weak point. Is a place for a cracked one to follow that part of the hoof.
And also the Horse Racing Integrated, the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority racetrack safety rules that they've changed or were working on this year compared to last year.
Yeah, hopefully they've gotten to a situation where it's a little better for the horses, and they're people. My God, what they do to the race horses! Believe me, everything they do is under scrutiny and looked at and monitored in more ways than you could dream of.
And you're not talking about like the owners and the trainers and stuff. You're talking about actual representatives of the committee are sitting there going, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. There's an actual official, I guess.
There are officials inspecting, just like the years we did the FEI stuff. We were all taking a look at a lot of horses.
So, the definition as follows, the new definition as follows, that traction devices means, they were talking about the traction devices and the means of what they were, and adding, changing the rules on traction.
Changing the rules. And it used to be like you had your mud nails, and if you went from a dry track to a wet track, you could run a couple mud nails and it would extend below the shoe and give a little extra traction. The problem is sometimes it was overdone. And, and that wasn't necessarily good for tendons and ligaments on the horse's leg, because they do need a certain amount of glide when they come into the ground. And you don't want to stop that completely, because that can be damaging. It's also something we were dealing with the sport horses in your main arenas. They've gone to synthetics because they're too grippy. There are some arenas that are worse than others, and that's where we've had a lot of suspensory flare-ups and that sort of deal, where on crushed sand, it was a different deal. But you didn't, those surfaces keep them on top, keep them moving quicker, and you get bigger animation sometimes. But on the other end, where the sand would give, it was a little more forgiving to joints at times. And it was, tendons, little kinder tendons and ligaments.
All right, guys, if you'd like this podcast to perform at your location, if you've got a house, a barn, a stable full of horses and people that are interested and like-minded that are all about the equine world, you can have this podcast perform at your location. The way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says clinics. Fill out that little form. We'll pencil you in. We got a couple live shows coming up. We'll let you know as soon as we get closer to those dates where we'll be at, and you can come out here and we'll hand you out some free stuff. And if you're in the Marshall or the Union County area over here in North Carolina, if you're outside of that, well, we'll always have a video over on YouTube. Make sure you go over there and subscribe and give them a like over there, and join the thousands and thousands of people that have enjoyed the Equine Dynamics podcast. On behalf of Mike Stine over there,
have a good day. Enjoy your ponies.
My name is Travis, saying see you next week.
Hi, Lucky.
Good night, Ned.
Hi, Dusty.
Good night, Ned.
Good night, Ned.